Inflation is still high. However, commodity prices are coming down. What can we expect for gold, the energy market, and the cryptos? Let's have a closer look. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the prices are not moving into the direction some people are expecting. The prices need to go if we have inflation. The prices need to go up. That's what they say, but that's not what we can see currently with the markets. We will see that the markets are completely in a different mood currently, and we want to inspect how far the price levels will fall and how far the chances are, or the chances are that the prices will continue the down movement. And is this a buying opportunity, especially with the cryptos and the precious metals? Many people are waiting and saying, hey, I want to buy this when the prices are on the very lowest point. What can we expect here? Let's start with the energy prices here first and see what the other markets are doing as well. Starting with crude oil, this is CL. This is a contract of light sweet crude oil. You can see this here. Some people are having this under the name WTI. Depends on what you're trading, CFDs, the future, or whatever you wish, what kind of contracts you want to trade. But this is the American oil market. So this is a US dollar against, or the barrel against US dollar in this case. So you can see on the daily chart that the market came down a little bit in the last few days, and this is counterintuitive. We all have the big inflation numbers in our minds, and we have the political situation, and some people are saying, why are you looking at charts anyway? The market is just moved by these influences currently. But to be honest, this is not 100% true, because the market is moved by what market participants are thinking about all the information and the numbers and the news you get. So what I want to see is not that the market is absolutely 100% sure in this technical movements, but this is a really typical thing you may expect by the market participants reacting on certain things, certain news, and they most of the time they react in the typical way of decision making. So what we can see from here is that we have something like a bullish market here. You can see this is a movement to the upside, but you can also see this is not really a strong one. You can see bigger movements to the downside, maybe even smaller movements to the downside. But whatever you compare, bigger and smaller, or you take them all together, in this movement to the upside, from here to here or to the current point, which is also an up movement, this is definitely so much overlapping in this way that counter movements sharing the same price levels. You can see this one is below this one, of course, but also below this one. This one is even below this one. This one is also below the previous high. This one is below the previous high. So you can see that parts of these corrective counter movements here are sharing the same price levels, which is not really typical for a strong trend, for a really strong bull market, for example. For a strong bull market, I would expect that we have some setbacks and some other setbacks, but you can see there's a break in between this. You can see this high is way lower than this low here. So you can see that there's a price distance, and this is indicating that the market participants are really wanting to buy this and want to have this, and they don't want to give it up easily. And this is completely different. Here you can see, yes, the prices are going up, but this is called a corrective pattern, which is indicating this is the wrong direction. It's moving into the wrong direction, and after this, we may expect the other direction, which was maybe the answer on this first part and this second part, and now sooner or later, maybe already running the third part, which will lead us lower. Whether this is already the start or not, we will check in a minute. Before that, let's have a look at the overall chart here. This is the weekly chart, and you can see from the 2020 low we had here, this is strong movement to the upside, and you can see that the market is now in this most probable corrective pattern, expecting after the first lower part, ABC to the upside, and another low part here again, or down part here again, you can expect that the market is able to reach something like $85 per barrel. So this is where the first support levels are kicking in and where you can expect that buyers are coming back into the markets. Currently, whatever buyers are doing, they are not super convinced. They are not buying on all cost. They wait for setbacks, and you can see this part. This was the corrective part here in the up movement. So you can see from the highest point here in March, this is the corrective pattern which is running. And now we have to clarify whether we go here directly or may continue a little bit higher before later going down. But you can also see from my typical idea that after this corrective pattern, we may see something like this again. So you may expect higher prices later on, but I would expect from lower prices before. So if you are sticking with the market and not willing to trade too much, you can still buy these contracts and say in the future, in the longer future, I am sure the market will rise. However, meanwhile, I would expect that directly or with this counter movement continuing a little bit longer, that we come to lower prices first, which may be around 85, which is the upper part of these typical corrective box where the markets normally fall back when they have setbacks. But maybe because of the political situation and some support levels here and maybe some other influences, I would have a first glance here for buying. So I would like to have a closer look here whether the market is really pushing through these levels or holding at these points and turning around. So let's have a look on a lower time frame and let's check what we can expect here. And you can see a drawing we had here from before the weekend. We were talking about the markets here internally with all the friends and the traders in BORN-4-Trading. And you can see this is the up movement with all the overlapping. And you can see it's looking a little bit like a trend channel. And you also have something like corrective levels here or typical levels for a down movement from Fibonacci, some projections, I'm sorry, for some projections here. And you can see we may expect some kind of a support here around the current low levels here from before the weekend on 17th of June, roughly 108. So I would not sell short the market at the very moment until I don't see that the market wants to continue, because here's something like a corrective pattern. So what do I want to see now? I want to see something like a corrective pattern here as well. And keep in mind, corrective patterns are normally ABC patterns in different shapes maybe, but ABC patterns or something shaky with a lot of overlapping. If we see one of these here, or like this here, then I'm willing to sell short the market when breaking through the latest intermediate levels we had here, and expecting that the market will undershoot these support levels here anyway. And while doing this, not only breaking these support levels, also leaving this trend channel. So this might be a good indication for a continuation even below that point, so that we can reach maybe 85. This is just a raw educated guess, but it's a good number to keep in mind. When the market is breaking through these levels here, currently roughly 108, I think we have quite good chances that we will see the 85. So you may have in mind these levels here as a supportive level, and when breaking these levels, to sell short the market. I would not sell short the market when breaking through this level directly. I normally prefer to see something like a corrective pattern here, because when I see something like this and some counter movements here, I would not sell short. It is roughly the situation we had here. We have been here at the lower end. He had a strong answer. And you may be not able to see this on this time frame, but maybe something like a shaky movement to the downside here, then I would definitely stick with the long side. at least expecting that the market is reaching this area, let's say 128, because this is the upper end of this trend channel here. And I would estimate if we see this one, we will overshoot at least a little bit. So it is really crucial to see what is happening here. If you are not able to see this, you may have in mind sell short the market when breaking 108, maybe a little bit below, maybe 107. I strongly recommend, if you're a little bit more professional with trading and understanding the difference between a corrective pattern and a strong movement, if you see something like this here, it may be even in a smaller time frame here, something like this, but if you see a weak pattern to the upside, you may enter the market at these levels as well, expecting a continuation, but this continuation will bring you through these levels here anyway. So I would say in this case, you would not need to wait for a break 107, for example. You can sell the market when plunging through this intermediate lows here in between. And this is giving you a confirmation that the up movement is not really strong. Currently, on a lower time frame, you can see 15-minute charts. Don't be too strict with the numbers here in this case, but you can see the market currently is not in the mood for a strong movement, at least currently. However, keep in mind, today on Monday the 20th, we have a holiday in America, in the US. So some people may not be at the markets today. So this is the reason why we have such a low volume here, and the price action does not look really nice in this part here. However, as long as this is corrective and breaking through these levels I've mentioned before, we have a good chance for a continuation downwards when the market is exploding now and giving us the weaker movement to the lower side by the market, at least to these levels here. And I think we have a good chance then to even overshoot these levels before then going here. Some professionals from the Elliott wave patterns, they may realize this might be the first, the second, and the third wave. And as this one is near or even overshooting this highest point here, this might be a sideways correction with a strong movement at the very end here, which might be a flat correction. And I'm quite happy with this one because the first part looks a little bit like a corrective pattern if you have it in a lower time frame. I'm not 100% sure. This might be a 5 wave, including this spike here. Without that, it's an ABC pattern. Nevertheless, we have the chance to reach this area we've mentioned before. So changing to the natural gas market, currently we also see that the market is not in the best shape for buying. And you can also see here, for example, on a 4-hourly chart, this is the Henry Hub natural gas future, NG, but you may have a short, or check yourself the other gas markets you like to trade, for example. However, this is absolutely corrective pattern. This is still the stronger movement to the downside. However, this one looks a little bit like a 5-wave move already. So I see a chance that natural gas is not moving and not continuing super far to the lower end anymore and will turn around soon. And in case you wonder, this is completely different from what I expected in the crude oil market. Yes, however, natural gas and crude oil do not necessarily move always in the same speed, in the same direction. There is sometimes a big difference or a time lag between these. One is leading and the other one is following, and vice versa, depending when it starts and when it ends. However, in this case, I'm not super convinced to sell short currently. Only if you're a short-term trader on a lower time frame, 50-minute charts, for example, you may switch to short positions as long as you have a strong movement to the downside and a shaky to the upside. We currently have this one, but keep in mind that we have seen a lot of these down movement already, so the targets are a little bit limited. And how can we deal with these targets? We have some kind of a support here in the 4-hourly chart, you can see, which is roughly around $6.45 roughly. It can be a little bit below that, can be a little bit above this, and maybe some kind of projection. If you see the first part here and measure this one on the last part, you can also see this is leading us into the same area here. And if you measure the first wave, including the third wave, and measure this one here, you can see the 38.2 is done already. We don't need this anymore. And the 61.8 is roughly exactly at the same, no, not roughly, it's more or less exactly here. At the same levels here. You can see that we have two yellow levels combining to one big one. We have this intermediate low here, we have another one here, and we also have some kind of an extension. I never measured this. Let me check this out. Oh, awesome. You have the first one here and the next one, 61.8 here, also at the same level. So I'm not promising that the market will reach this level. However, in case the market is coming down here in the next few hours maybe, expect some major support here, because from many different levels we can measure this one as a corrective pattern. You can see we had two yellow levels from the projections. We have a blue level from the extensions. We have two black levels from the lows we have seen here. So we have a lot of ideas whether the market or why the market may turn at that very point here. And maybe let's just try it from that lowest point here, Fibonacci retracements from lowest to the highest point. Never did this before. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to zoom in a little bit. No, this is not fitting perfectly. This one is over anyway. And we have something like a support level here already, which may fit into this one here, same size like, for example, this one here. I'm not sure. Let's just try. Measure to this one. No, this was fitting here, not fitting here anymore. So you can see we have measured many levels here. And for all of these asking, yeah, but there are so many levels, this is not a proof that the market is turning. You are absolutely right. This is never ever a proof that the market is doing something. But this is giving us a chance that some market participants are thinking, well, shall we stay with the short side or shall we turn around and buy? So this is only a level where we can expect that people are thinking a little bit differently from before. Of course, it is the news moving the market. However, when reaching a support level and some good news are coming out, then you may expect that the people are saying, yeah, these are two good reasons to buy. So expect this is one good reason to buy at that point, but wait for some confirmation. And some people are waiting for news, for example. I would do in a different way. When reaching these levels, I want to have a strong movement to the upside and a weak movement to the downside. If I see this one, I would say, okay, this pattern seems to be over. We may continue what we've seen here after the break. We will continue here, and this is a good entry point. And you can do this also on a lower time frame. If you're saying, yeah, 4-hourly chart is nice, but I want to trade on lower time frames, you can just do it here. And you can see it was an up movement, but it was not super strong, to be honest, not super convincing. What we've seen here so far, setback was way too strong. So it is not the point to buy now. And I would like to see, to be sure or have more clearness, to see these levels here, which were roughly $6.40, a little bit below, but this gives me a chance for buying. Currently, I would not buy. And to be honest, when I see this one, I prefer a little bit longer the short side, but this is not giving me a short entry. So if you are short already, you may trail your stop to these highest points here in between, which is roughly 686, roughly. Check it on your own chart depending on the contracts you are trading. But as long as the market is not overshooting these levels, I would not be super convinced for the market is turning, to be honest. Wait for this strong movement and the counter movement. This is not only working with the energy market, also the precious metals have these behavior, and you can see from many time frames that we did not have this so far. So for all the gold fans, I'm currently not super convinced that bullish is the best side. Let's check the weekly chart first. This is the weekly chart. So this high here is the high from 2020 August. So you can see from the low here we had in March 21, you can see we had a lot of setbacks, and also here setbacks. This is not really convincing. If you want to see a bull market, this does not look like this. Normally it looks like this, and you have setbacks. Yeah, you have setbacks. Here you had a strong one, okay, which is maybe on another scale. Maybe this is comparative to this one because the size is more the same, but you can see this low is not overlapping with this one, so this is still a good one. This low was not overlapping with this one. This is all good. Here we have a lot of overlapping, so this gave me the idea that the market is still not in a bullish mood, and selling short or waiting with buying or selling short might be an option in this case. So this is the big picture, and normally I would expect that the market is coming into this area again. So we have a shaky downside, a shaky to the upside, and the last one to the downside, which is also what I've mentioned before, a flat correction, a sideways correction, which is called a flat correction. And you can see this is happening very, very, very often and leading us into this area here. So I would not be surprised if the market is reaching levels around and even below 1700, even 1600, something in between would be something I would expect on the big picture. Not necessarily to be reached in the full length here. However, I see a good chance that the market is reaching this level. Is this fitting into the lower time frame? What about the daily chart, for example? If you see the daily chart here, you can see we had a quite strong movement to the downside, an ABC pattern here. We had a quite strong movement to the downside and something here. And now we have to think about, is this a bullish movement or is this a bearish movement? What do you expect here? And having the shorter time frame, the 4-hourly chart here, for example, this is exactly the up movement we've seen here. And you can see that we have seen a drop very low again. So this part might be something not looking so bad, and this might be something like a corrective pattern. However, you can measure Fibonacci retracement here to the highest point, for example, or some others, and you can see that we've reached, and this is not really typical maybe, but this is the only one to keep this one without much overlapping here. If you measure to this one, you have a lot of overlapping here in the corrective pattern. So this would make this like a corrective pattern anyway. So we have a chance that this is a corrective pattern already. We had a strong movement here to the downside, which was leading us to the 78.6 Fibonacci level, roughly around 105. Sorry, $1,805 per ounce. So you can see that the market came down really strong. And okay, but it might be an end, and this might be a really bullish move. Or not? Let's have a closer look here at that last part here, starting from 14th of June. 14th of June, this was this one here. And if you see this one again, is this a strong movement with setback? This is lower than this one. Setback. Next setback here. This one was lower than this one. So also this one is not looking promising. It is giving us an impression that this movement to the upside is also corrective. So even the market may continue once more to the upside. However, all of this one, and the overall picture all are indicating the buyers are not willing to buy for gold currently or pay for gold. They are staying at the sideline or just trading a little bit, but this is not super convincing for a bullish market. So if you want to buy physical gold, for example, I think it is a better chance to wait a little bit longer, because currently we don't see that the buyers are willing to kick in and to move the markets. And if the buyers, the others, are not doing this, why should I do? This does not make sense. Am I smarter than all the other ones? And maybe I am, but what does it help if everybody is selling because they are all stupid and I'm super smart because I understand the world? It does not help me anyway. So I'm not looking for the best solution, what is logically or most understandable. I watch what the market participants are doing, and the market participants are not buying currently. They are not super interested in this market, and this is leading me for waiting, if you want to be a long-term holder of gold, a little bit longer, or to sell short the market whenever I have a short signal. However, currently I don't see a short signal, to be honest, because what we see here, this is not convincing for a short signal, because we also have here overlappings. So to be honest, I would prefer something like this. If the market is giving us this trend channel, please come up again once more to these levels here, which is roughly 1900, 1890, depending whatever. And after this is breaking this level or giving me a good short-term indication which one is the strong one and the counter movement, then I may sell short at that points here. To sell short to get the final sell-off we can expect here in the next few days, weeks, maybe even months. It may last through the whole summer. So currently it is not at that very point a sell short opportunity. However, buying is not an option currently on both sides, not on the long, shorter time frame and the middle time frames. So I think gold is waiting for sell, but not giving us an indication for selling now. What about silver? Silver in the big picture is roughly the same. However, silver already reached this area. Once again, the big picture here in the weekly chart, you can see a strong movement to the upside, a shaky one to the downside, which is clearly indicating this is clearly down movement. I think there's no doubt that this part is moving down, not upwards. But you can also understand this is way weaker than this one. This is a strong movement to the upside, a clear decision for the direction. But this down movement, whether you count it from here, but I would count it from here because this is a one mover here to the upside. In my eyes, this is all part of the corrective pattern, which may be overlapping here as well. Not overlapping, but in this case, overshooting here, so giving us a sideways correction here as well. However, this is not the best direction. So silver is still in a down movement. We will check this part here. Maybe we can buy now. However, it reached already some typical levels for a turnaround. So from the very moment now, we can wait for some bullish action, but it may fall a little bit longer before that. However, after this, I would expect that the market is continuing what the market did before, because this is the typical way markets move. So currently it is maybe too early, at least on the weekly chart, to buy. I don't see any indication to buy now. However, we are at the points we should not need, or not necessarily need, to wait for much lower prices. It can fall to 20, even 19. We have a lot of support levels around 19. So I think within this box here, we have a chance to find a turnaround. Did it happen already? Let's check a daily chart. Let's switch directly to the 4-hourly chart to see what we have here. And you can see the movement to the upside is also not super convincing. Same argumentation as with gold. A lot of overlapping here. The first part, we had a really strong setback here, which is leading us very lower. So we have a lot of indications that buying is currently not the best choice, in my eyes. and selling short might be an option. It might have been an option already here. However, this is at the very end, so don't expect too much of a target way lower. So if you want to lock in $2 maybe in this case, it might be an opportunity to sell short around these levels here as well. An alternative view would be the same like we've said in gold. Maybe we will see this movement again. Currently the market is moving up, and it's not, at least in a 4-hourly chart, it looks quite good. If the market is giving me something like this, I would expect this before that, and after that a chance for turning around. This is not a promise, but if the market is breaking through these levels to these levels here again, which is 25, depending on where the low is here, or this one, which is currently roughly 21, then we have a chance to sell short the market to get the last part of this down movement. But don't expect the market to plunge very far, because we've seen already most of it to the downside, at least if we stay with the typical market behavior. On a 15-minute chart, if you see the last part here to the upside, if you compare same sized setbacks, you have this one and this one, and this is giving us a little bit an unclear picture. This part could be the first part with the no overlapping here as well. This might be the ABC pattern. And this is also strong movement up, down movement weak. So I see a chance that currently silver, at least for the next hours or even days, may lead higher to reach these levels here, 22.5. Because this pattern here is at least giving us the opportunity. I take away all the drawings and do it again for you in slow motion, so that you may follow this way easier. You can see this part here, and you may see this one, and you can see an overlapping here. Yes, and this is making you doubt whether this is not a corrective pattern. Yes, if that's the case, you may sell short the market when breaking through this level. For example, even when the market is going higher, then it's this level. Depending, when going higher, then this is the last low. This is really important. This is the last high, the previous high, and this is the low in between. This is giving you the trigger. This is the latest high, this is the previous high, this is the low in between, giving you a short selling trigger. Oh my god, not too easy. The trigger for selling short in this case. So you can deal like this. The other part is, this is part of this corrective pattern, and this is the first movement here without overlapping. And now after this corrective pattern we've had here, now we are moving the next up movement, and the up movement is strong to the upside, shaky to the downside, and continuing to the upside. So this is the scenario behind this. I see a chance that currently we are still in a bullish market, because we don't have so many overlappings like we've had seen in other markets. Or for example, if you see here, we have many overlappings, which is not a good indication here and giving us not a buying opportunity. Here we only have 2 overlappings, which can be part of an ABC pattern in this case. So that's it from silver. Silver not so much bearish, however, also the same situation roughly. Let's finish with the Bitcoin, because many people are asking me about the Bitcoin. What can we expect from the crypto market? Is this the end of the crypto market? To be honest, I don't know that. But on the other side, setbacks like this and even way bigger have been here before many times. For example, this setback compared to this bull market was bigger. This setback compared to this bull market was bigger. And if you don't understand that, let's measure this. The last movement to the upside was from here to here. Or you may even count it to here. This does not make such a big difference. But you can see the setback did not reach 78.6. Let's measure this one to the upside. And you could see this was way lower than the 78.6. Let's measure this one to this one. And you can see this was way lower than the 78.6. If you think this looks weird, yes, it might be because this is a logarithmic scale. Anything else does not make sense because the market is multiplying itself many times. So it is really important. Also this one, from that point to the highest point here, you can see way lower than the 78.6. And you can continue this nearly all the times. Here it is not. To be honest, this is the first one where this did not reach this level. However, all the other cases, the market was plunging lower than this one. So expecting seeing this one, for example, or maybe even until this movement, we can talk about this. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe let's do it like this one. It could be something like something like this, or what I prefer, to be honest, it is something like this and an ABC pattern here. But this does not make a big difference because the levels are really same size. So you may even expect that this level is not the lightest, the lowest point. You may even expect that the market is falling below that point. I would wish that the market is not overlapping this level here, because overlapping is always indicating that this is a corrective part. And at least for all these bullish people in the cryptos or the Bitcoin, they want to keep this as a main trend. So overlapping this level, which is roughly 14,000, it's the July high from 2019 or summer high 2019. As long as we're staying above this level, that's absolutely okay. Why not comparing to this high here? Yes, this is also giving us some kind of a support, which is quite close already. However, this overlapping, I would compare this to this one, because you can see sometimes you have a big movements and smaller movements inside the big movements. And it is important that the big ones don't overlap and the small ones don't overlap. So in this case, I think we have a better chance that this is the internal one, this is the overall one. So this one here is comparative to this one, and this and this is this and this in this case. So I wish no overlapping between the internal ones here in this case. So we are still good with the setback. I know many people are afraid of this movement. Let's have a closer look at the daily chart. And by percentage, we've already reached the area here. You can see this blue box here, the upper one, which is the same percentage movement here down to this one. This is a linear, the same one. I'm not sure which is the correct one. You may expect something maybe in between. So this is all leading us into the area, or staying into the area, that a turnaround might be near. And some people are wishing to buy already now, but please make clear that even to the lower end of the box, you still have a probable loss of 40%. If you buy here and have to suffer this point here, which is also some kind of a target here, it might be another 40% setback. So please keep this in mind if you buy now, willing to keep this, because this is the box where the market needs to turn. I prefer in this case to let the market start with something strong. I want to see that the market is doing something like this. Let's take this, move this a little bit aside here, for example. And I want to see that the counter movement is weak. So currently, I don't see this. The market is still on the lower end and did not move very far. If you want to give it a try, as long as the market is moving up strongly, yes, and coming down shaky, yes, you may continue on a lower time frame. But don't expect that this low time frame here, 15-minute chart, is giving you a clear indication that the market is definitely moving upwards. You can try this as an early entry. But keep in mind, when the market is continuing to the upside, trail your stop accordingly, at least to the entry, because this might be only something like this, and after an ABC pattern continuing to the downside. So if you see something like an ABC pattern or something like a weird looking thing going more or less sideways here, expect that the market is continuing to the downside. That's the reason why trailing the stop is really important. So I would not say that the crypto market or the Bitcoin definitely are at the end of their life. No, I think there's a good chance that the market is turning soon. The market did very, very often in the past, and there's no indication that this necessarily is different this time. However, I would take care whether the market is turning or not. Currently, I don't see this. Wait until this, and you can have lower time frames, early entrances, as long as you trail the stop quite early to the entrance, so that you have a break-even stop, and then wish for the market to continue. And if you miss the opportunity, the next setback will be yours to enter the market at least a little bit lower. So I hope this is helping you for your own trading decision. It was a long video. I'm really sorry about that one, but I hope this is helping you for your own decisions and to learn how we as an institutional trader are looking at the market. So this is our approach, how to deal the situation currently, how to find out whether we should buy or not. Maybe or hopefully this is helping you. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe this channel so that you can see many updates and sometimes also some additional videos maybe in the future. And give me some comments so that I know what you're wishing to see or if what you're longing to see. And I will try to take care of it as well. So looking forward to seeing you soon. Have good success at the markets. Bye-bye.